Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you've been doing well. Today we have here Sanji, the master chef, in front of us, and honestly I could not be more happier to review this guy. If you've seen a couple of posts over the last couple of days, you definitely have seen that I've liked this figure, and we'll definitely get into that. And I gotta say, I am just really happy to see them kind of turn it around with this release, but I also have many questions as to why it's this guy that had to do it. Why couldn't the other figures, have other unique things about him similar to him? But we'll get to that. Anyways, let's just get right into it. So of course we've got our box here, nothing too different from the other two. It's got the map decals all around it. Of course, let's get straight into looking at the accessories and whatnot, so we'll be right back while I take those out. Alright, so starting off, might as well go with here. He has the love eyes. His eyes are obviously covered by the hair, so you won't be able to see both eyes. If I can get this off, there you go, but you can see both of them there. But of course, like I said, his hair is going to be covering one eye for the most part every time. Alright, here we have the shocked expression, or in awe expression. Definitely one of the more outlandish ones that they've done so far. I think Trafalgar Law will have probably one of the even crazier ones. And I'm really excited to see that in hand, so hopefully we get there very, very soon and the months kind of jump by. And here's kind of the yelling expression with the cigarette in his mouth. I will say, just be cognizant that it's there. You don't want to accidentally break it off. Even though if you did break it off, you still have the expression itself. Yeah, still very cool. And here's the smiling variant of that. Very much mostly the same, just different in the smile and eyes. And here is his expression pretty much out the box. Just a regular stern expression. Definitely well rounded. I love that he comes with kind of a good assortment of expressions as opposed to just angry or sad or mad. Some figures have that kind of syndrome and I am not necessarily a fan of it, but I would like to see more being given in terms of expressions for characters. And as I mentioned, he comes with these open palm hands. Quick note about these is make sure you push them all the way in. As you can see there, make sure it's all the way in there. Sometimes you might feel like you're not all the way in, and you just gotta kind of put a little bit of pressure there because it might be a little exposed, but just a little tip just in case. And here's with the other hand holding a cigarette. And this hand is kind of like holding something. He didn't really come with anything he could hold necessarily, so you have to be kind of creative with that, but definitely can be used to kind of taunting, stuff like that, And here's his fist. And then very briefly, just to show how you change out the leg part. So you take it off here, just kind of put your fingernail in there and kind of push it out lightly. And then you have this attachment piece, you just match it up, and you should be good to go. Yep, just like that. Make sure it's snapped in. Hit your leg, pop back on, and you're good. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either keep the leg on the figure or you can take it off, which I feel is probably the easier option and safest option so you don't break your figure. You grab it here at the upper thigh, gently kind of twist it out, and there you go. Then you get your other leg and find the hole and just push until you hear a little snap, and there you go, it's fully attached. And all you gotta do is make sure it's in the ball peg, and there you go, two fire legs. And of course, lastly, you get your extra Luffy face, very hungry, looking for meat expression. Definitely cool. Of course, they're doing a lot of DLC, so you'll be getting a lot more expressions for Luffy, that's for sure. But let's move on into the articulation phase of this and get to our conclusion. Alright, so to start here we have our Sanji. Let's start here at the head. That's about as far as he can look up, about as far as he can look down. Side to side. It is on a double ball peg. And his neck, yeah, gets pretty decent. Now, arms. So, what I will say, and this just happened for the first time on video, what I will say about these arms, and I kind of want to disassemble them live on video for you, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. these arms in ways are like Denji's. So as you can see in here, the shoulder piece sits on a little ball peg hole, and this is like a hinge as well as on a ball peg hole, so it can move around pretty well. I can move forward, back, and let me put the arm actually back on here so you can see that. There you go. A lot easier to attach back on as opposed to Zoro, for example. But as you can see, it can stretch inward and outward, and the arms itself actually have really good range getting across from one another. You can do a T-pose, you just have to be cognizant like of this shoulder piece here. And of course, the plastic, it can roll over and kind of get stuck on, but it's all soft plastic pretty much up here for the most part, so you'll have a lot more fun messing around with it. But yeah, he can get up there like so. And like I said, this is kind of the internal so you can see. And it would move up and down like this. And then it would move side to side in this socket right there. So it's similar to Denji in a way. Denji kind of has that articulation going for him. Let's see if I can, yeah, it's stuck in there, but it's essentially the same. Just kind of reduced down, and I think it's more simplified. And then actually you'd be surprised how much more similarities Denji and Sanji share. And I think it's actually a good thing. It kind of really shows a little bit more innovation there in my opinion. Let's see if I can get it in there without having to look at it. And just so you can see kind of on camera as well, that's to be careful for. If you kind of overextend it, kind of go slow back and get in there. You don't want to mess that soft plastic up too much. So I would just take the arm off like so. Get it back in there. You're seeing this live, so you can do it with me. Yeah, match it up until you hear the click, and bam, boom, it's back in as normal. But getting back just into the rest of the articulation, so you can see a much better reach than Zoro, which was our last figure. And personally, this is how I expected them to do it, but they didn't. It is what it is at this point. All we can hope is that it gets better. If they do make another Zoro anytime in the next, I don't know, 2 years, give him these type of arms, or give him something akin to one of the other swordsmen, because this is, I think, what people are looking for. And for a character that majorly uses his legs, very shocking that he has good arm articulation. Of course, he's got his rotation here at the bicep, but get a 90-degree angle or so. And then you've got your swivel here at the wrist. And like I mentioned, all of this, from this piece right here to this kind of upper portion, is soft plastic. So you can get some good range. It will pop off eventually. It is on a little ball peg socket. This can come off. And this is kind of the articulation on a hinge down there. So keep that all in mind. It is very intuitive, I would say. This is exactly kind of the things I want to see Tamashii do more of, being very creative with this kind of stuff. And weird thing, not sure why they didn't go with the double jointed elbows and knees, but he does still get good range. So I mean, it's not a huge complaint for me, but I would like to know what that decision was, because I'm sure it could definitely have helped him a lot more. And like I said, him and Denji share a good amount of similarities. Denji, doesn't have soft plastic up here as opposed to where Sanji does, but they do both have a soft plastic waist here. Denji has a soft plastic kind of crotch area, which allows him to have that greater range, whereas Sanji's, it's a little higher up, but eventually, that's about as far as he can go, and then his leg starts to pop off. And getting into that as well, that is about as far as his leg can go. And this is his knee articulation, which, again, considering that it's not double jointed, that's still really good. His ankles do swivel. They go up and down, got your toe hinge, and all you need is there. And of course, these feet are articulated on the fire legs as well. Maybe not so much more articulated, but they do have articulation for you. So keep that all in mind. Now let me grab Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro and kind of stand them together and talk about them a little bit. But real quick, just to address it while I'm here. So I do know you might hear that little weird popping noise. I think that just has to do with me accidentally bumping into the ring light that's in front of me. And the mic might be catching that. So I'm working on making this setup a little bit better. You know, the audio quality sounding a little bit more professional, you know, via the Blue Yeti mic. So it's not on the camera where it sounds kind of scuffed. So that's kind of the context there. So you'll see it get a little bit more refined and better. So I appreciate your patience on that. But now let's get into the conclusion of this video. So I'm gonna try to keep it short because I can say a lot of great things about Sanji, but what I want to talk about is like all three of them together and kind of the next steps, right? Like we've got Yamato coming next, and we don't know if that figure is gonna be good, bad, great, you know, mid, whatever you want to call it. It could be any of those things. And I really am hoping that Sanji is like an indicator that along the lines that they went from developing Luffy to Zoro to Sanji, that they realized what wasn't working and decided to go the route that they did. And maybe, just maybe, you know, Yamato can turn out really well despite the skirt piece looking a little, you know, I don't know, iffy. You know, Kaido, hopefully he turns out well. Fogger Law, hopefully he turns out well. You know, considering the fact that Sanji just overall has really good articulation in the abdomen area, the arms, the legs, I really have my expectations kind of set right now. So hoping that they meet that, but there's always that conversation of, will they be consistent? And that's where it's hard to answer because they do things that are great and then they don't do it again. For example, they did Sasuke, they did Geto with nice soft plastic skirts. You'd think that'd be something that they do more often. They haven't. They could have applied it to Zoro, for example, who, you know, still has his own issues, granted, but when you replace that skirt piece with fabric, soft goods or something like that, or soft plastic that isn't as thick as this, it makes the figure a lot better. Definitely. Right now, he looks good, but he can't pose well. That's his problem. Luffy is a figure who plays decently, but, you know, is missing out on a lot of accessories to make him feel more useful, in my opinion. But for $35, it's like hard to argue that. But then you compare it to like the Naruto line, who, you know, they gave him a Rasengan, a kunai, crossed arms, I believe, as well, on top of the other faces. So it's like, you know, where are these decisions being led? You know, who's deciding that this is okay to proceed with? We don't know. We do know that, like, how the procedure goes with how long it takes to develop these figures. And still, you know, throughout that process, you think that more questions are being asked within those teams of, is this functional? Is this something people actually will like, you know, compared to what we've done before? And who's signing off on it? I don't know. Those are the things that really like stick with me right now in terms of this line specifically right now. And, you know, we'll have to see what they do in the future. So here's hoping, you know, that Yamato is a good release. I really want that figure to do well. Same for Kaido and Trafalgar Law, like I said. And the Gear 5 Luffy is already controversial enough with whether people like this, the bendy wire or whatever. So we'll save that discussion for another time once we get, you know, in-hand pictures of people bending it. But yeah, that's really all I can say without trying to drag it on too much. I definitely think Sanji's worth it, though. He's worth the money. Definitely get him if you're interested in Sanji or the One Piece line and you want to try one of them out. He's the one to get. And if you're wondering why I have the sword on there, that's because the cool detail so far is that all of them share similar hand peg sizes, and you don't really see that too often. For lines, you know, like a character or two might be similar, you know, sized hand pegs, or the same character will have similar sized hand pegs and stuff like that, but it's never like this consistent, I would say, to where each character can use each other's hands and whatnot. So it makes it really cool, and a nice little cool detail using Sanji's hands on Luffy to kind of give it a slight hockey effect, even though it's not really hockey, you know what I mean? It's interesting, since he's missing the forearm piece to make it look legit. But yeah, you know, he can hold the sword, you know, whatever. It's just cool. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Anything you agree with, disagree with, talk about it. But yeah, catch you guys in the next review. Those issues will be fixed, and we'll be good to go next time for hopefully what would be either Orochimaru or the Green Goblin. Two figs I'm looking forward to and seem pretty good so far, but you know, gotta get it in my hand first. But anyways, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.